English has been described as the language of opportunity. And by the time you get to this end of this video, we are pretty sure you will agree it. If you are currently in the throes of trying to pick a language to study at a school, or you fancy taking a new language in your spare time, we are willing to bet that the English speakers of this world would join us in giving you the following words of advice. If you have to choose one additional language to learning during the course of your years of school or college or university, or making your life, make it English. Why? Let us count the ways. Dear viewers, first point is English is one of the most widely spoken languages, although it comes second to Mandarin in the total number of speakers. English is language you will be able to use most widely, as it's spoken in more countries than any other language. So that's why English comes first in every area. That means that English is the language that will give you the best return for your efforts. After all, intellectual challenges aside, there are little points putting a huge amount of time and effort into learning a language that you will hardly ever have the opportunity to use it. So mostly it is important that English select English as your particular language to boost up your future, to bring your future back. As well as the UK, whopping 60 of the world's 196 countries have English as their official language. The USA, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, to name but a few. It's the language of diplomacy and the official language of the European Union, the United Nations, NATO, and the European Free Trade Association, not to mention many Commonwealth countries. What's more, English is commonly adopted second language of people in a great many more countries, including Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, and Holland, and all. So many countries are there where English is spoken as a main language. Dear viewers, in total, around 1.5 billion people speak English worldwide, and another billion are in the process of learning it. Will you make this number even bigger by learning it yourself? It's your chance. Try to learn English and improve yourself in every way and join this lobby. Second point is English will open up more opportunities for you. Being able to speak English allows you to communicate effectively in numerous countries, and this opens up lots of possibilities for you in terms of the countries you could choose to seek work in one day, not to mention travel to as a tourist. You won't have to worry about getting lost when you travel to an English speaking country, as you will be easily to you'll be able to ask for directions, and taking guided tours, ordering food, and chatting to the locals will no longer be a source of stress. Dear viewers, as you all know, English is a language that helps you move from one place to another, to roam here and there, and to visit various places. What's more, career that involve lots of travel or international exposure such as the airline, tourism, and film industry, use English as their official language, and many employers in these sectors are likely to require evidence of a certain level of proficiency in English before they will consider employing you. Means if you don't know how to speak in English, there is danger. Means there is a scarcity of job. This means that if you can speak English, you will find that you have a greater number of possible careers to choose from after you finish at university. After completing graduation, you will be able to get job very easily. Third point is English will make you more desirable to employers. Being fluent in a second language clearly demonstrates a powerful brain and reflects someone who has put in the huge amount of time, resources, and commitment needed to master another language. So, to master another language, commitment is required. But while being bilingual is impressive, full stop, no matter what combination of language you speak, adding English to your CV will be particularly useful. Not only is it an especially complex language to get to grip with, a fact that reflects well on you for having mastered it, but as we have seen, it's also an incredibly useful language to learn because so many countries speak it. You'll be in a such stronger position to apply for jobs overseas if you have reached a good level of fluency in English. So, speaking in English, you will open the door of jobs before yourself. English has been referred to as the language of business, and it's not hard to see why. If you have ambitions to become an international business person, it's essential that you are able to speak English fluently. Business conducted internationally is done in English more often than not. So, even if you are not thinking of living and working abroad, that doesn't mean you won't find English a helpful language to put on your CV. So, it is not necessary to learn English only when you are going to abroad. There may be plenty of English speaking multinational corporations with offices in your home country. What's more, English skills are just as desirable to employers in your own country and language as they are to employers in English speaking countries. So, dear viewers, here are just three examples to give you an idea of the kind of situations in which English may come in useful in your own country. Practice, business, and boosting your knowledge. Next point would be English gives you access to some of the world's best universities. English is widely regarded as the language of higher education. Oxford University, Cambridge University, Harvard University, and MIT are just a few of the famous universities that occupy the lofty height of the top of the world education language league table, and you will need to speak English fluently for access to any of these, as they are all English speaking zone. It goes without saying that If, dear viewer, if you are able to study at one of these universities or institutions, you will start your career with an illustrious name on your CV, and the benefit of that speak for themselves. If English isn't your native language, you will need to take an English test during the admission process to prove that your level of English is up to scratch for the demands of the academic environment. If you have your sights set on a top university, the effort you put in to study English as early as possible in your school years will be rewarded when it comes to the choice of university in which you can apply. So, selecting an institution, your language matters. If you have good command over English, you can choose any of these. Next point is English is the language of some of the world's greatest literature. If you learn English, you will be able to enjoy works by some of the world's most famous writers in the language in which they are intended to be read or heard. The works of Shakespeare will take on a new meaning when you are able to speak English, and you can look forward to enjoy each fluential classics as Emily Bront, Wuthering Heights, and her sisters Jane Eyre's George Orwell's 1984 and Animal Farm. So Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, and many, many more. So translation rarely does a writer true justice. So the only way to appreciate a classic literature work properly is to read it in its original language. And you cannot read it without learning a good English language. So, even better, through doing so, you will deepen your knowledge of English by enriching it with new words and sentences or sentence structures. So, dear viewers, next point would be English allows you to get more from popular culture. The world's highest grossing movies are made in Hollywood, and needless to say, they are made in English. How many times have you been to see an American blockbuster and been frustrated by having to keep up with fast paced subtitles? And how many times have you hummed a favorite pop song but not being able to sing along because it's in English and you don't know the words? Dear friends, there is a solution. Kiss those annoying cinema subtitles goodbye and and get more out of the music you enjoy and learn English. And if you learn English language, all these doors are open for you. You'll be easily able to understand the songs and even many dialogues. Next point would be English allows you to attend international conferences and events. Majority sporting events such as the Olympics are held in English, and so are international conferences. So competitors and delegates will need to be able to speak English to be able to get the most out of taking part. So you may find yourself needing to attend conferences as part of your chosen career. Dear friends, so learning English will be of enormous benefit to you in years to come. Not only will you be able to understand the talks, but you will get a lot more out of the networking opportunities that come with such events if you can talk effectively in English. You never know. There may be a new employer or client among the crowds of fellow delegates. So make sure you can communicate with those people. I hope you understand the points. The next point is English. English language has a simple alphabet and everyone equal. The English alphabet is straightforward, making it easier to master than the symbols or pictures that make up some languages. If you are struggled to learn more complex alphabets, you may find you make more progress with English, which shares an alphabet with many other languages. So, English is a language where it opens the door for many other languages. There are no complicated symbols and characters to get to grip with in English either. Even in French, which essentially uses the same thing is there in French, or it uses the same alphabet. There are several accents used in on a certain letters that alter the pronunciation, not so in English. So furthermore, not matter how importantly they are, everyone is addressed as you. There are no polite and informal variant to agonize over, as there are in French with tu or vous. So you won't need to worry about inadvertently creating social awkwardness by being overly familiar. And unlike many European languages, there are no masculine or feminine words to remember. For example, a dog or not a lichen. So, dear viewers, next point would be English gives you wider access to knowledge. Wider access to knowledge. Did you know that 55% of the world web pages are written in English? This absolutely dwarfs that of any other language, with the next most widely used language on the internet being Russian, which constitute just 6% of pages. So, knowledge of English therefore allows you to tap into for more of the world's intellectual resources. All the resources available on the web page, they are in English language, and really other languages are also, they are just created or helped by English language. So English is also the language of science. If you learn English, you won't just have access to a greater opportunity or proportion of the vast amount of knowledge available on the web page. So you will be able to educate yourself still further by being able to read scientific books and papers. English is, of course, essential if you intend to pursue a scientific career. If you want to make a scientific career, English is very much necessary. Within the Science Citation Index compiled by Institute for Scientific Information, an estimated 95% of articles are written in English, despite only around half being from English speaking countries. According to the Open University, you know very well, At Oxford University, two-thirds of postgraduate students come from outside the United Kingdom. So the students in university uh, chemistry research lab admit that working in English is a key attraction. In India, all the decisions in High Court and Supreme Court are taken in English language. Next point is English is a fantastic intellectual challenge. English is undoubtedly one of the harder languages to learn, full of nuances, full of nonsense, unexpected pronunciation, and odd rules and infuriated exceptions to rules. It takes dedication and perseverance to reach a good level of fluency. If you are on looking out for a new challenge, learning English may be just what you are after. Not only that, but because it's so widely spoken, it's spoken all around the world, it opens up to a huge number of new culture experience which will help you develop life skills, meet new people, and grow your confidence in handling new situations. So dear viewers, I tried to explain why speaking English is compulsory and important. If you try this best, you'll be able to explore your knowledge and get higher chances. Thank you so much.